Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Israeli. Today, I want to talk about two things that are happening, and people are talking about in Twitter and social media. Each one having their own take on it, and I think it's time we went over it. So, the two things are what is happening in East Jerusalem with demolitions that are happening now, and what is happening in the West Bank with the settlement Eviatar. So I think those are very two interesting developments that are happening now in Israel. I don't think they are as important and as big as many people on social media are trying to make it. I think that people are just looking for any excuse to blame Israel for looking how Israel is wrong, is doing something wrong for the Palestinians, towards the Palestinians, or how we can blame Israel in any way, shape, or form. So this is what they have now, and I think it is important to talk about it because it does show where the future is heading, and I think it's a very important crossroads where the people on both sides will have to decide how they want to continue. Okay, so let's go over the first article here. Palestinians clash with cops over demolition in East Jerusalem shop. 3 arrested. 2 police officers, 13 Palestinians hurt in skirmishes in Silwan. Hamas, Islamic Jihad warn potential explosion, intense ceasefire with Israel should demolitions continue. So again, this Hamas trying to get control and influence over other parts outside of Gaza, but this is not what this story is about. Palestinians clash with Israeli police in East Jerusalem, Silwan, demolish a butcher shop owned by Palestinian family. According to Israeli officials, the structure was built illegally in the El Bustan area of Silwan without a permit on public land. Palestinians contend that their requests for permits are rarely granted by the Jerusalem municipality, giving them no choice but to build illegally. So again, they built a butcher shop without a permit on public land illegally. Now, I'm sure that they applied for a permit many times, and for many reasons, each one can decide their own reason. I'll be honest, there is probably some kind of nationalistic reason behind it. The municipality in Jerusalem in the last few years was very right-winged, but they do try to be as fair as possible to the people who live in East Jerusalem, to the Palestinians in East Jerusalem. And permits are given, but apparently here the permit wasn't given, so they built the butcher shop. Now, a butcher shop, think about it for a second. Just on the sanitary side, this is a place where they sell meat to the public, to the Palestinian public, yeah? It's not Jews that come and buy there, it's the Palestinians who come and buy there. So if it doesn't have a permit, so maybe they do have people to make sure that everything is clean and organized, and even though there are no permits, nobody gets sick, and I'm sure that the health department was involved to make sure nobody got sick, but still it's, so they were working for 11 years in an illegal shop, and now the municipality decided that they want to destroy this shop because they want to build a project, and we'll talk about this project in a second. Okay, now whether giving them a permit or not giving them a permit was legitimate or not, yeah? Still, if you don't have a permit, you cannot build illegally. If I decide to build illegally in my apartment, to add another room, to close my balcony, to build on the roof, the municipality will demolish it and make me pay for it. It's the law. It's the law everywhere. I'm sure it's the law in your country as well. 3 Palestinian residents were arrested in the clashes, and 2 police officers were lightly wounded, according to Israeli police Jerusalem division. So there were clashes. And again, I want to talk about these clashes because they repeat also in the West Bank, but in the West Bank it's a bit different. Because in East Jerusalem, the clashes, the protests are being controlled by the police, not by the army. Yeah, so I think I don't understand why it has to always be more violent when it's in front of Arabs than when it's in the Jewish community, even though, maybe, I don't know. I think the police in Israel should learn how to deal with protests. It's not just the Arab community when I think about it. It's also when ultra-Orthodox are protesting, they get beaten up. When the Ethiopians are protesting, they get beaten up. When the left is protesting, they get beaten up. When the right is protesting, the police is just too aggressive, period. And it needs to change. Yeah, I understand that this is not a normal conflict. This is not a normal area. It's a conflict zone. The police needs to act, but and police were confronted with a riot that included, okay, this is the riot, everything. Palestinian residents said that additional 17 illegal built structures, including homes, have demolition orders in effect. Illegal built structures, they admit. The municipality has marked another 80 homes for demolition. For those orders are currently being fought in court. Okay. We've had the shop since 2010. They didn't get the permits, okay. According to municipality, Bustan residents have rejected numerous offers of the city to accept compromises that would leave most of the homes in place. Every year we will go to court to update them on the negotiations with residents and ask for the extension on the freeze in demolition. At a certain point, the court decided that these were going nowhere. They had negotiations about how to continue forward to give them an area where they can keep most of the houses and build new ones, and demolish places where it's on public land where they want to build a park. And I want to talk about this park. I'm just not sure if it appears in this article, but I'll talk about it anyway. So in the clashes, people got hurt. The demolished structures Palestinian residents built illegally. To remove all doubt, orders against illegal constructions are enforced throughout the city. Israel, okay. So let's see if there's anything about this. Do not deny, the people do not deny that the houses were built illegally. They don't deny it. It just say they never get permits. They ask for permits and they don't get them. This is the issue we need to talk about. But destroying illegally built buildings, that's the law. Reasons to decide not to issue permits allow construction in the area. Law introduction sections against illegal construction. For years, Jerusalem municipality sought to advance here the plan of El Bustan to create an extensive tourist park known as King's Garden. The El Rahabi's shop was not part of the area once slated to become part of the attraction, said former municipality official. El Bustan residents said they sought in advance a housing plan with Jerusalem municipality to which legalized their homes and fend off the demolition. Around 3 months ago, the municipality decided to not go forward with that. So they had proposals, they had agreements, and the municipality decided to back out of it. And this is the question that we need to talk about, not the demolitions. Why isn't the municipality talking with the residents there to come to an agreement and open it up to the public so people will know on both sides, and the Palestinians will have to take it seriously, and the municipality. But no, it's all hidden. The plan was accepted by municipality technical. So they had a plan, it was accepted, but then when the municipality backed out because it took too long. That's what municipality is saying. It just took too long. But things take time, I think that's an excuse, to tell you the truth. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, they want to build a park that would go through that area from the old city. And that park will be joined between the East Jerusalem and West Jerusalem, which means that both the people in the Jews and the Palestinians and everybody will enjoy that park. Now, that park is supposed to bring a lot of jobs, a lot of attractions, a lot of tourists, a lot of income to the area. And it's good for both people. Yeah, not only that, I'm going to talk in the next one when we're going to talk about Eviatar in the West Bank. This is different. In East Jerusalem, even if, let's say, in the future, theoretically, Israel and the Palestinians come to an agreement, a peace agreement, and East Jerusalem is given to the Palestinians, okay, as part of Palestine, okay? This park can be half of it in Palestine, half of it in Israel, a beautiful joint venture that can lead the way forward. Nobody needs to be against this park. This park, I think, is a good idea. Yeah, they just need to come to the right agreements about it. So again, East Jerusalem, also many people have to understand that you call it occupied territory, whatever, in the international community. But as far as the Israeli law is concerned, this is part of Jerusalem and this is part of Israel, and the municipality has the right to build, to demolish, to give permits, to not give permits, to do more or less whatever they want in accordance with the law. And I just think that this whole discussion has to be more transparent so we know what's going on there. Yeah, to tell you the truth, as an Israeli, that doesn't live in Jerusalem, I found out about this park only because of all these clashes. it needs to be more transparent so both communities know what is happening. What are we dealing with? And I think this park is a good idea, and I think both sides need to reconsider how to approach it in a more positive way. Okay, let's go to the next one. Israeli government settlers reach deal over West Bank outpost. So this place, Eviatar, a settlement that they built over and over again because there's a Tapuach Apple Junction, Tzomet Tapuach, where Israelis keep getting killed, murdered. So they build this settlement up there that overwatches it, also in remembrance, and because it's a safety kind of thing. It's a dangerous area that people get murdered in, as settlers get murdered in. So have agreed to quit the outpost that has become a flashpoint for clashes on the land under the aim of addressing awkward political tests for the new Israeli government. Under the agreement with Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, the settlers would leave Givat Eviatar outpost. They would leave it, and then they would build a military post over there, and they would leave some buildings over there, and it leaves the possibilities open in the future for the settlement to come back. That's the whole thing. It's like it's like eating the cake and leaving it whole, because it's evicting the settlers but not evicting the settlement. Yeah, it's sort of like this kind of deal that they made for now that works for both sides. And I just want to show you for a second where this is. This is where the whole thing is happening, Eviatar. Now, for those of you who don't know, for those of you who do know, this is the West Bank. You see this line here? Yeah, this is the green line, and this is the West Bank. And this is deep in the West Bank. Now, I want to ask a question. The people who are the settlers who are building these settlements, they know what they want. They have an ideology. They want one big Israel. They don't hide it, they say it, and the way they want to achieve it, they say we'll just take over the land, we'll build our settlements, and the Arabs will just have to accept it. Yeah, and when they accept it, they would leave, whatever. They have these fantasies of what's going to happen. But when you ask them how they're going to manage this one state with a huge Palestinian minority, they don't really have an answer. They give different numbers and different things, and will give this number citizenship and this not, and they'll have to prove loyalty and blah, blah, blah. Things that will never going to happen. But this is their ideology. Yeah? And I respect it. And they play cat and mouse with the army, and they play cat and mouse with politics, and sometimes they're winning, sometimes they're not, sometimes they're up, sometimes they're down, but they always manage to keep the status quo. Where this two-state solution is just a fantasy, and they can keep trying to build more settlements. Sometimes they succeed more, sometimes they succeed less. Under Benjamin Netanyahu, they did not succeed that much. It made it seem like they have, but they haven't. So they know what they want. So for them to be in the middle there of the West Bank is logical, yeah? To put their flag in the middle, it's logical. But I'm talking to all the other people who live here, who live around, inside Israel, outside the Green Line. How do you see this future? Those of you who have children, how do you see their future in Israel when we keep protecting this kind of settlements? I say this. It's okay that many of you say that there is nobody to make peace with. I understand that. Hamas is not a partner for peace. Abu Mazen does not have the support of the Palestinian street. He does not really represent them. He cannot really sign a peace agreement, which all the anti-Israel people. What is your solution? Let's say Israel wants tomorrow to make peace with the Palestinians, withdraw settlements, whatever. Who are they going to? Who has the power to represent the Palestinian people to sign that peace agreement? Every peace agreement that Israel signed with was with governments that had the power to support it. Yeah? But who's going to support it in the Palestinians? Hamas? Abu Mazen, that has like 10% support of the Palestinian street? Who? But putting that aside, yeah, so I understand you say there's nobody to talk to, they're not the most, they don't love us, they're not Zionists, they don't love Israel, they want us destroyed, they have this rhetoric from the river to the sea, all those things, it's all true. But it's also true that right now between the river to the sea, there's an equal number of Jews and Palestinians. And how do you see the future of the country? And because if you're thinking a one-state solution in kind of a republic where municipalities and everything, those of you who support that, please explain to me how that's going to work, because I thought about it a lot, and I look at Lebanon, which went through something very similar. It was a Christian country, and then it turned into a multinational country, and look where it is today. So where do you see the future? I see it only in this two-state solution. And even though we have nobody to talk to, us being the strong side, we should start making steps that we can take that don't endanger the security, but need to be taken, because this is not a future. This is not a future for the country, for the Zionist dream of having our own country, self-determination, freedom, to live with freedom and security in our own land. The one-state solution will not give us that, will not give that to our children, to our grandchildren, to our grandchildren. How far are you thinking ahead? One-state solution is not thinking ahead far enough. It's thinking ahead 20 years. You need to think ahead 60, 100 years. This is not the solution. And look, this is in the middle of the West Bank, so I don't know. The people who make these settlements, they have their ideology. I respect it. They know what they want. Just like people on the Palestinian side, the extremists have their ideology. They know what they want. Fine. But this will not bring peace. It will not bring freedom. It will not bring happiness to anybody who's sane on both sides. And I'm talking to those of you who don't live in the West Bank. Those of you who live inside the formal Israel. How do you see the future? And you need to decide how you see the future. And I'm asking those of you who want the one-state solution, explain to me how it's going to work. Okay, so thank you everybody for watching this video. And I just want to say I'm going to start a new panel. I'm going to start a new series. Every once in a while I'm going to put it out there, which is going to be called The Israeli Recommends, which I'm going to talk about, recommend Israeli movies. Starting from the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. All those, I'll recommend different movies for those of you who want to get some knowledge about Israeli culture. And I think Israel has some really great movies that you guys, if you haven't seen them, you will enjoy watching. So watch the next episode. It's going to be the Israeli Recommend, and I'll recommend one of my favorite Israeli movies. So until then, thank you for watching. And I'll see you on the next video, and have a great day. Bye.